after reviewing the documentation we have in Screenly and reviewing the existing edge app, because all the edge apps we have currently in the store is public and it's open source. So anyone can come and to the GitHub and review the code, and if they want to, they can modify because it's an MIT license, so it's fully open. So
Hey everybody, this is Daniel again with the Screenly Changelog. Super happy to be joining with Screenly co-founder and CEO Viktor Petersson. And we have a new guest today, Salman from Screenly. Salman works specifically on, a lot of things. I'll let you introduce yourself, Salman. Where are you coming from and what's your role at Screenly?
hi Daniel, thanks for the introduction. And hi everyone, my name is Salman. I am from Kerala, southern part of India. I work Screenly as a customer success and also like Edge Apps, a low coding platform that you can make apps that runs on Screenly players. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So Edge Apps is something we've definitely been shouting about a lot at Screenly. It really took off maybe about a year or so ago, where we wanted to have our signs be developer, not just developer friendly, but also developer first, which means that instead of putting people in a box saying, hey, here are the things we integrate with, and this is how you can display it, we wanted people to be able to show exactly what they want line by line at the code level. So, Viktor, let me give it back to you. What was some of the original inspiration for launching Screenly Edge Apps and also the Screenly developer ecosystem in general?
That's a good question. So, when you build content for signage, it's a specific medium, right? It's not just like a web page, even though a lot of people do treat it like just another website. It is a medium that has specific properties, right? In particular, thinking about, you have set resolutions, you're often dealing with portrait or landscape. Like you might deal with that on some sites for some website in responsive web, but it's different in the sense of like how the viewing distances, for instance. Like you don't use small fonts. Like signage is designed to be read from a great distance. So those are some of the considerations. So we built Edge App platforms to really like make it easy for developers to build content for signage. And other things that you have to deal with when you do content for signage, for instance, is the fact that these screens will, with a good probability, go offline at some point. So you need to have built-in capabilities to do offline survival, I guess. So it actually works well when the screens are actually not communicating with internet. So long story short, we built this Edge App platform in part to solve our own needs when we work with customers to build custom content, right? One of the first Edge Apps we built was the Power BI Edge App. So it's basically Power BI integration. That's been great. And we're kind of now building on top of that and building things even further on that platform. So yeah, we started by solving kind of a problem for ourselves, and then we kind of opened up with our Screenly CLI, which is our command line interface, where you can build and test and deploy these applications.
Amazing. Yeah. And so part of that rollout, Salman, got to give you a lot of credit on that. You've been super involved in, hey, we kind of set up this ecosystem, but like, now what, right? So, the ecosystem isn't going to, run itself. And so our goal was to make a lot of these Edge apps, all of them really, accessible on GitHub and the Screenly playground. But those initial versions have to be made. So Salman's really been at the helm of that. So let me give you the mic, Salman. So talk to us about your, maybe just like bring us from the start. So like you made your first Edge app with Screenly when you got started on the project. Now that's kind of second nature. Tell us a little bit about like where, if a developer is coming to Screenly and they're launching an Edge app, talk a bit about all the things that we've already figured out for them.
Yeah, sure. And like for me also, like since I am mostly coming from an electronics background, even though I have a CS degree, so my first task from Victor to create an edge app, so so my first job to scout and review the documentation we have and improve that from a developer perspective. So like from an outside developer perspective, because we are making the edge apps not only for the end users but like for the developer also, like we want they to like build their own edge apps quickly and easily, like that. So for the developers, so we whenever we create a new edge apps for now, we actually carefully document everything in the code, in the settings, all the part we carefully document each and every section actually. So like I'm coming to your question, actually my experience from first edge apps to here, right? So my first edge apps, like I can say basically an iframe app, I can say, because it's a quick, and it only took me like maybe 1 hour to complete it, because that easy after reviewing the documentation we have in Screenly and reviewing the existing edge app, because all the edge apps we have currently in the store is public and it's open source. So anyone can come and to the GitHub and review the code, and if they want to, they can modify, because it's an MIT license. So it's free open source. So I like the philosophy from the company side.
Right. And some of like, I think people really underestimate the technical requirements when it comes to launching digital signs. So they're like, oh, well, I can just put, content on a screen. But there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes in terms of the content processing and rendering, different security considerations as well. Salman, Victor, feel free to both chime in on this. Like just give us, if someone's coming with that mindset, oh yeah, signage, whatever, I'll take care of it. What are the things that they're not thinking about that we've thought about for them?
Yeah, I think one thing that is important when you're building real use case applications is secret management, right? So that's not a trivial problem, right? Because imagine you're building some kind of edge app or some kind of application that needs to speak to some other data source. That might be an API or some, like, it needs to authenticate in some one way or another. If you're just writing a website for that, I mean, you need to have a backend component that can do that then, and that adds more complexity, because you can't just like bake in a credential in your website. I mean, you can, but it's I mean, I take an asterisk here because that's a long, complicated conversation. But long story short, is like it's not quite that simple. So we basically took a page out of the modern infra world, and as part of Edge Apps, we built in a secret manager. So that means that you can, using the Edge App framework, securely reference secrets like API tokens, so that you can set them using your CLI, essentially push them out, and they are encrypted on the device. So even if somebody rips the memory SD card out or the hard drive out in a Max player, it's encrypted on the device itself, right? So that means that you can read it back on the device in the runtime environment, but it's not plain text. So like it's securely way of communicating with other endpoints, because that was critical for even the very first application we wrote to be able to do that. So that's one of the many things that we built like out of the box. Right?
So developers can take that and basically adopt it for their own use cases, but then
yeah, like this, it is like secret management is like table stakes to do any kind of application, right? So we built that into the environment. That was kind of like, that was a hard deliverable from like version 0. We need that feature, right? But yeah, I'm sure, Salman, you have thought about seen other things as well as you've been building.
Yeah. This is actually, sorry, go ahead.
No, all in you.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is very important. Like, so even though we are running the edge app on the edge, the issue is like if the physical device is compromised, like the attacker can access to the device. Suppose if you have an example, like we have Power BI Edge app or Strava or CharlieHR, HR app, etc. The API key, if you are planning to embed inside like the player as a plain text, if some attackers can access it, it can read all the employees like details, and this is a big potential issue, right? So with Screenly Edge apps, like with the architect, the way we designed, right, it's like it's impossible, because for the Max Player we have the TPM. So it's very hard to like, I can say it's impossible to break the security.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Yeah, if you break a TPM, there are more scary attack vectors out there.
This is true. Yes. So there's a lot of things like that we take care of, that go in, categories of like app distribution, general device management, operating system issues, just the hardware integration as well. That, allow developers to focus on the business use case that they actually give the value add on, right? So rather than spending your time, dancing around all these technical issues, and like, while maybe they're interesting, they're not really something that you can present to your team or your stakeholders at the end of the day saying, oh, we did all this, right? They want to know what impacts the business customers on their end, right? And so Screenly allows you to focus on that. So cool. So in the Edge App framework, Salman, you've been building up the Screenly playground. Again, that's where we keep all of our ready to go Edge apps available. What are some of the recent Edge app projects you've been working on, Salman, and why would they be interesting to some of our users?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to share that because like constantly we are actually adding new app apps to the store. And yesterday actually we published a new app called Strava Activity Tracker.
Amazing.
So basically like, in our company Screenly, we have a Strava like a club, and we actually have a kind of competing each other to make it on the top board. So it's actually initially it's developed by Viktor. I think Victor, I have to tell about the story. Maybe Victor want to draft a social media about Strava, and then it ended up an Edge app, right? So that's easy. And later we polished it, and that's interesting story. Actually, Victor can add that. And yeah, sure, Victor, you can maybe include.
Yeah,
that.
no, I mean this was something that came out of our social media, right? Because there was something about like how we try to encourage, as a remote company, we encourage people to actually stay fit, right? Because it's super important. You take care of your body and your mind, otherwise everything else will fall apart. So we try to incentivize people to exercise, and we had a social media thread about how we do that as a remote company, and somebody was like, well, this should be like an Edge app. I was like, yeah, it should be. So well, we wrote one in like, I think I wrote the prototype in like an hour or two, and then I handed it off to Salman to do the polishing. But it just shows you how easy it is to write an Edge app. Like, you just point like one of the vibe coding tools on like Strava's API and say, hey, this is what I'm gonna build. Here's the API. Go and do your thing. Because we already have, again, like secret management, all that stuff built in. Super easy. Like, all the heavy lifting is already there. Like, you can test it locally, build it with your in the CLI, and run this locally, right? So it was super easy to build and test.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Strava is one of the app, like as Victor mentioned, that's we recently released. The thing about Strava is like if you're running a company, you want to display the dashboard, you just need a 3 API key. That's all. Just need to enter the API key. The dashboard itself actually pull the data, and it will actually list the members and everything. So cool.
Amazing.
And the second one, yeah, and another one is we recently released like a CharlieHR app. So basically in Screenly we use CharlieHR to manage all the employees and everything. So and we use Slack also, and like each day we'll get a notification who is away and who is like who's our birthday or anniversary, etc. Since we are a remote company, but still we need to celebrate these small things, right? That's how we keep in touch with each other. So that's why we create the dashboard, and it's now officially recognized by CharlieHR team, and we will this is going to be listed as an integration in their page soon. Yeah.
Amazing. Nice. And tell me about what is the fake dashboard? What's fake about it? What's real?
That's actually fake dashboard means like it's just a simulating dashboard. So basically, if a customer want to do they just set up a display. Okay, they want to test if everything works fine, or they have some kind of they have some blank display page, so they want to do some dummy data. So that's why we create the fake dashboard. That's also using wipe code. Only 1 to 2 hours completely done with plain HTML and JS. Very simple one. Yeah.
Nice, amazing. Yeah, I think that's actually like it sounds. I mean, it is simple, but its importance is it's actually really there, right? Because you have always this juncture in like a digital signage deployment where you have someone in the company who is um, what's the word, like the hero for it, and they're trying to show people the champion. Yeah, they're trying to show people, hey, like this is something we could use. This is why it's important, and like it's kind of amazing. But like humans are simple creatures, and like they gotta like see it to believe it, right? And it's like
Show,
yeah,
don't tell.
exactly. So, digital sign, what's this? Why should someone care? But then when like someone from the sales team sees like all these metrics up on a board that they've been like talking ad nauseum about to everyone, they're like, oh, wow, this is actually a very useful tool. And you can do that now with something like the fake dashboard Edge app without having to also do all these preliminary steps of like authenticating with your sales tool and getting that integration working. It doesn't really matter, right? For the purposes of championing it to your team. So
Yeah, but I think it's important to like. I think the reason why edge apps are even more important today than a year ago is kind of come back to the whole vibe coding story,
Yeah.
right? Because now you can build things that weren't really cost effective to do before, and edge apps like makes it really easy to deploy these because you need to still you can write a dashboard that taps into some internal data
Right.
source relatively easy with these tools, but you still have to run it somewhere, you still have to deploy
Right.
it somewhere, and that's kind of where edge apps come into play.
Yes.
Right? So you can it's the best of both worlds. Like it takes away the busy work because the busy work is just actually writing that
Right.
dashboard, and oftentimes it's not hard. It's not technically complex to pull a data source from an API and visualize
Right.
that. The hard part is deploying that across a large a number of screens and manage it, the lifecycle.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So that's right. With Screenly, you can see your vibe coded projects, and I'm not going to say anything derogatory to anyone making vibe coding monstrosities because we all have, and hey, every few of them they really work. So I'm a fan of that. So, but you can see these things like interacting with the real world is what I want to say. Like it's kind of neat, right? So you can make some app that connects these two things, does some transformation, and bam, your stuff is on your screen, and stuff that your team cares about. It's there in a secure way, and someone's able to do it who maybe isn't doesn't have the coding knowledge to have done it without vibe coding tools. And yeah, and so also the Sonar dashboard. What's that, Salman?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a very interesting edge app. So basically, like when we visit any conference or like any crowded area, right? So it's very difficult to get the footfall, actual footfall. Either we need to have some kind of counter, or we need to have some kind of a physical like person to check each everyone, etc. So the Sonar is it's a project from Wikipedia. It's from Victor actually, and so basically it's scan the Bluetooth BLE beacons. So basically every phone will be transmit small amount of beacons, like either if it's an iPhone or Android, etc. So we have a device called Sonar. It runs on Raspberry Pi. So it's actually trying to capture the packets, like the company name or the packet's distance, etc. And using that data, we actually visualizing on a dashboard. So in the dashboard, we can see how many footfall we have in a particular area, what kind
It's
of
amazing.
phone they use, like how far they are, and I can say like very the crowded time actually, maybe in the noon it's very crowded, etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw it when we used it at Infocom, right? We had it deployed at Infocom, and you could see the bell curve, right, during when it was
Right.
popular and wasn't. And it's just it's important to just like note that these are not precise measurements. BLE is notoriously inaccurate because of various things, because of things like rotation built into iOS and so
Yeah.
on. So the basically MAC address rotation and stuff like that. But it gives you a proxy, right? It gives you like, oh, rough estimates of like
Right.
density. So it's interesting.
And I think that's like that is a not, I wouldn't say a problem, but like a thing in digital signs, right? So when you're talking to companies and they're saying, if they're using it for like an advertising network, one of the questions is, okay, who saw the ad and when did they see it, and what like
Yeah.
everyone wants to get like, oh, this is my ROI. Okay, well, like everyone who's really dug into that problem knows that that's like really hard to do with any like precision, right? Across like almost all marketing channels, even like the most like direct point to click like online ads, right? So certainly the case with digital signs, but like you also don't want to come back with like nothing, right? Like you want to be able to say something, and something like this that you can customize however you want. So if you want to only count things within a certain radius, for example, you can set that. Or only certain time frames when certain content showed. Like that's another customization you can add. This gives you something to say.
And dwell time is actually something you could
also
there, which is actually
also very cool. So so it's a really neat way of like getting some type of impression data on your digital signage content and ads, and doing so in a way that's not super costly, right? Like there's definitely tools on the market that are like cameras with people counters and artificial intelligence layers of this and that, and it's like, okay, fine, like, is that cool? Yes, but like how much is that going to get you for the costs involved? And also what optimizations are you really going to do based off that data? A lot of times it's not really worth it. This is something that you can do cost effectively, get out the door running quickly. So
yeah, it's one of the, like, let's call it what it is, right? It's a proxy.
Yeah,
right? It's an approximation. Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right, Daniel. You can do it at very high level of accuracy, but there are very few deployments where it makes sense financially to do that, right? But and also like from a privacy perspective, if you want to do this, you need to do it on device, and the data can never really leave. And even if you do that in Europe, that's still like you still need to like anonymize the data. So it's not, it's a slippery slope as well.
And Salman, for like to produce more edge apps, there's been some work you've been doing with creating a blueprint and porting things to Vue. Talk about the motivations for that and how that's going.
Yeah, sure. So we are working on quite a few edge app right now. So the same time we also want to like improve our developer experience. Even though we are focusing on the documentation, we did a lot of things on documentation to make the new developers life easier, to they can focus more on the application side, right? So from the experience of what we get developing like maybe 10 to 15 edge apps, we are now creating a blueprint and some components. So we already developed a lot of like apps like a clock and maybe weather app and the Sonar account, etc. So we are planning to make these as a package of components. So when if you are developing a new edge apps, you can directly use in those components and integrate to your app very easily. So you don't need to do the code again. You don't need to go through all the steps. Maybe in developing a web app or something like that, and it's very hard to with all the screen size and all the stuff. That part actually we solve with this blue part and componentization. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So making it even easier for people to launch what they want exactly how they want it.
Yeah.
Make it easy to do best practice, right? So we choose Vue, which is, and also TypeScript for this, right? So like you can use reusable components, and it's like it's basically best developer practices. The blueprints also include other things like how you package, how you deploy, how you test. All those things are based on the blueprint, so that we can move faster when we build new things, but also open that up to the world so other people can leverage kind of what we've done already, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you try to deploy something or build something.
Amazing.
Yeah. So So far, sorry, I just want to add, like, so far we are using the vanilla JS and HTML, CSS for building the edge apps. And as Victor mentioned, we are moving the Vue actually. That actually showcase both like these kind of complex framework and vanilla framework can be both handled by the Screenly edge app. Both things actually work fluently because like one of my colleague Nico is currently working on the clock and asset metadata app. It's already migrated. It's in the GitHub also, so anyone can go and check the GitHub and they can see the codes and everything is there. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think like all these parts of trying to enhance the developer experience, like they're just super valuable. And like what really like is super obnoxious to me is like when other actors in like the digital signage market, they'll say, oh yeah, we integrate with this, we integrate with that, blah blah blah, and it's like it's so misleading for the first time buyer because they just like have in their mind like, oh, check, it integrates with X, Y, and Z. But then once they like buy all the hardware, they do all the installations, they get set up, they come to realize that like, yeah, fine, the claim is true, it integrates with whatever, but like it does so in a very specific way that isn't actually useful for their business, right? And then when it's like, hey, well, we want to do this thing the other way, it's like, oh, well, okay, we'll submit a ticket to our team, and like everyone knows that's going to go nowhere, right? So like giving teams and businesses the ability to actually do signage and content how they want is super, super important. Because sometimes it's really like that last mile of how you show something and when you show something that actually delivers the value in your business use case.
Yeah, in particular for like distributors and integrators, right? We're actually building custom things for their customers, right? So their value is not the signage; it's what the signage do for the customer, right? And I think that's the important part here. Like nobody's doing signage for the sake of signage, right? You're doing
for
signage to solve a problem. Yes, exactly, right? So it's just like how can we streamline zero to problem solve or zero to value as much as possible, and that's what this very much comes down to. Like these reusable components, yes, they save us a lot of effort and time, and yes, we only have to fix the bug once and then it's propagated out to all the other things, but more importantly, other people can build on that and use it too.
Yeah, super true. And just one more thing before we jump to the next part of the show here. Salman, maybe just talk a bit. I don't think don't necessarily have to demo or anything, but you've been working on some stuff for displaying customized ads with an edge app. That's super cool. There's definitely been some like I know like work on this in the past, but like different AI models and image processing have really made this a lot easier. Talk to us about that, and also maybe you could really dive in as to why our edge apps that run on the device enable this to happen.
Yeah, sure. The first thing is like regarding the sensor thing, right? So the edge app is not limited to the like web API or the server API or something like that. We really want to do some kind of like physical sensors integrated with physical sensors. So if you look into the GitHub repo, I'm repeating the GitHub repo because we are documenting everything on the GitHub, and like you can see there's a PR for indoor sensor dashboard for the edge app. So basically we have a weather app that actually using the weather API, but it's not localized data, like there is no localized information or something like that. But if you want to display a dashboard in your office with your office temperature and humidity data or air quality data, that's very important, right? So we are also working on that. Comes to that, right now, like I am working on an edge app similar to that, but instead of using a TinyML machine learning camera, basically I have the camera but my background is blurred. This is a small camera, it's a Raspberry Pi camera.
Nice.
So using that, all the edge process actually happening here. Okay, small seed studio sensor.
Amazing.
So the use case is so right now when we enter in a when entering a shop or anything like that, the content is already predefined. It's actually running in a loop. So what I want to make is like instead of just running a loop to get the customer attention, whenever a customer near to the screen, the content will change. Maybe a customized offer for the time being. If the customer only the customer is entered. If there is a kid, it will show kid like a friendly some kind of ad, right? So like that, I already made a demo. Hopefully, you can see a blog post coming week on the Screenly blog post. Okay, yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah, I mean that's really amazing to drill it down to real time ad optimization, and you can imagine like use cases where it gets even more advanced, right? So like not just using like the camera sensor data, but also maybe using like third party data vendors as well, and you can get some like you know ad serving based off like the demographic and perhaps like hypothesized interest as well of the target group. I mean, you could get super advanced, right? But like there's a ton of value to drive there because you have real brands wanting to serve ads with a ton of budget behind them, and hey, like you want to serve what's relevant to the people you care about, right? So and that could matter greatly if it's like not if it's just like man or woman, is it 20 to 30 age bracket or 60 to 70 age bracket, right? Like you can see that something like that happening. So that's super cool. Yeah, we'll look forward to a blog post on that, Salman. So
Yeah, sure.
cool. So so moving on, there's also digital signage contest coming up where Victor's going to be the judge. Salman, what's that about?
Yeah, sure. The contest name is like Interactive Digital Signage Contest
Nice.
2025, organized by Seed Studio.
Okay.
And we are Screenly one of the partner, and like Victor is one of the judge actually for the contest. The last date is like August 15th. Okay.
Nice.
So try to join. So the thing about like the main goal is to create some interactive digital signage. It's not about on not it's not limited to screens also, but any signage, right? So make it interactive.
Nice.
The easiest thing is like if you want to participate, come to the Screenly GitHub repo, grab any application because it's in Amity license, just modify and apply for it. And the first
Amazing.
prize will get a free trip to Shenzhen. Shenzhen is like a
Nice.
Silicon Valley of hardware. Like if you are an electronics nerd or technology nerd, you will love to be the trip.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Nice. Cool. We'll put it in the show notes, like where people can apply more. So that's really, really cool. Yeah. Okay. So just a couple news we want to cover. All this Edge app stuff, it really comes in the context of like, we want you to display the content you want, right? Like that's the North Star. And it's not just the content you want, but it's also how you want to display it. So rather than like locking you into saying, oh, here's the hardware and the media player you need from us, like we have that option as well, but we also want to enable our users and potential users to be comfortable using the hardware they already have, right? And so there's tons of reasons they might want to do this. Like probably the largest is like ease of implementation. If they have all these screens and hardware already deployed in the field, they'd rather just use that. But then also cost, right? So like if you already have things rolled out, like you don't have to pay twice. So in order to do that, we've been working on quite a few different apps. Maybe Victor, you can tell us about what are the recent operating system apps that Screenly has been working on and why are they relevant?
Yeah, of course. So we started out with our web-based version of the original Screen Anywhere app, right, which can run on more or less any smart TV or on your desktop, on a tablet, wherever you have a browser or a modern browser, I should say. Even though we have added support for some pretty dated browsers as well. So that's where it started, and then we started seeing more adoption of this, and what we started to have more feedback is like, oh, I have these monitors with this built in. I want to run it on these, right? So the next thing we moved on to was to add support for Android. So we shipped the Android version of this. So now Screenly can run on Android. And most recently, we added support for Tizen. So Samsung Tizen monitors can now run Screenly directly as well. To add to the list, we can also do ChromeOS. So we have ability to run on ChromeOS. So I guess the only major platform that we haven't really added support for yet is WebOS from LG, but that's probably coming soon as well. So that means that you can run Screenly on more or less every platform out there. And to your point, Daniel, like the reality is that the world is complex, right? People have various reasons to run on other platforms, and perhaps more importantly, in many real world applications, people will have multiple screens, right? And they're not going to have a homogeneous environment. We've spoken of this before on the show, right? There will be a single customer might have some Samsung screens for whatever reason, or they might have some, because their use case will matter even with the same customer. Use cases will matter, right? So yeah, there will be, so it's important to be like agnostic in terms of that. So we have support for that, and more coming in that direction.
Yeah, so that's available now. So anyone who logs in for a Screenly free trial, they can go and launch a screen on their web browser, on an Android device, on a Samsung Smart TV.
And you can run Edge apps on this platform as well.
So true.
Even our environment allows you to run Edge apps.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the internal conversations we have are, how can we, achieve true parity between screens that run on dedicated hardware that we have full control over versus, hardware from these other vendors that, have a lot more mystery box essentially going on. So, yeah, and that being said too, so a couple of months ago now, we launched our Screenly Player Max Make 2. So that's been, first of all, we were very proud to announce that. So that player is assembled in the US and really adds a lot more power to digital signage deployments. And we've been really thrilled with the success of that over the last couple of months. So we definitely have that in a bunch of deployments out in the field. Customers are happy. Yeah. I don't know if you have anything else to add on the Screenly Player Max Make 2, Victor.
No, I mean, it's great. We're still making updates and we are adding new functionalities to it as well. So I don't have anything to disclose yet, but we are improving the security posture. We're looking to improve the security posture even further on this to really make it the world's most secure signage player. So we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes here, and some of it might not be visible to customers yet, but we hope to make some announcements there.
I think too, it's really like important for us as a company to have like a real flagship media player where we can confidently offer that to enterprise deployments where the screens are really mission critical. What are you going to get with a dedicated top of the line player from us? It's going to be first of all the security component, but also like high reliability, right? So when you go in, the screens are going to be working rather than hey, you have to fiddle with something to get it to work in the first time, because that really translates to cost, and in terms of like missed sales opportunities for customers if you're doing something like Salman had with his ads, or also just like human costs too as well of having to have someone come out to the field and diagnose the problem. So okay. So coming up here on the hour, another thing I wanted to cover today was just Screenly's push for enterprise grade digital signage deployment. So we've been deploying a lot of features that are relevant for that. That goes to the Edge app case as well with Salman. So like, for example, our CharlieHR app to help display HR data. But it also goes to like actual user interface features. So, we can do things like shared playlists across teams, audit logs. We can do granular access controls. But then also, I think really top of the line is security. So enterprises, the blast radius for a digital signage hack can be a lot bigger than just a mom and pop restaurant, and so that really matters. So, Victor, maybe just give a couple words here about the state of digital signage security in the market in general, and why enterprises should really be paranoid about this potential attack vector.
Yeah, I mean, there've been so many stories. I don't know where to begin about screens being compromised for the lulz or for actually real serious attack vectors. And I think one thing that really I should probably write a blog post about this, but because we've done a lot of compliance work over the years. We are SOC 2 compliant. We're doing some more compliance work right now. But one thing that I think a lot of enterprise buyers miss is the fact that you can, I kid you not, you could pass SOC 2, ISO, HIPAA, and most other security compliance framework with your signage players running Windows 95 because none of them will check for this. And I think that's being abused by a lot of signage vendors because it's not really covered. Like maybe you have an auditor that's really, really like detailed and actually pay attention.
Yeah.
Then maybe they will catch it. But the reality is that most auditors will not even cover this.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's important because if buyers are using compliance frameworks as a proxy for security posture, they're making assumptions that are incorrect.
Right.
And I think that's
right. Yeah. It's kind of all shipped off to, oh, well, it's covered. And it's like, okay, well, like, let's look at the details.
It's a tick box rather than actually real.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's scary. So I think that's a big thing, right? Because yeah, your signage, like going back to the whole use case of why signage is important for a secure perspective. Yeah, your signage may not be what the people are after. Like, yeah, sure. For the lulz, yeah, they might want to show porn on your screens because that's just fun,
Right.
whatever, right? But it's not like that's not what a serious actor would actually go after. They would use a signage to as a stepping stone on the rest of your network. Yeah. Maybe they can get on to your signage player over a poorly locked down Bluetooth interface, right? And then they can use that to jump onto your network because your signage player is connected over Ethernet to your network. And your network is not segregated. You're not using zero trust or anything like that. So you can just jump onto the next device and then the next device. And now you have a foothold into the network. This is not theoretical. This is
right.
Actual,
and in those
right?
cases, they'll leave the sign running just as is. So, you know, no problems detected, right?
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, your signage players will probably run 24/7. Right. So if you can get a persistent foothold onto your signage player, great. Now you have persistent attack vector into your network. So yeah, absolutely. Like we need to consider these. Like, and then marry that with the conversation, the fact that you can pass most compliance frameworks running on Windows 94 or 5. Well, perfect storm,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
I just hope more.
No, really. I mean, because what happens is like, you know. You can see from the perspective of the, you know, integrators as well, right? Because like at the front end, they're being super pushed on like price, for example, and the, you know, client on their end just wants like the cheapest thing done. Okay, but then once that's all done, you know, they're being looked at for, hey, well, we also want something secure, and we, you know, want something that doesn't have all these, you know, risk associated with it. And then they're just kind of like, okay, I'm being squeezed from both ends here, like, you know, shoot. So, you know, really it's like, I mean, I think, you know, again, like talking to a lot of these integrators as well, it's like, hey, like you really got to communicate these realities to the client because, you know, essentially your reputation and client relationship is the things that is at risk, right?
Yeah.
So
somebody got owned the life cycle,
exactly.
right? And I mean, there's no shortage of people that will sell you an end of life Android player. But the reality is that somebody can own it, right? When something goes wrong, somebody's head is on the line, right? And if you're the integrator who sells that, that's your head.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're the guy in the IT department that skimped on the budget because the reality is like security costs money. Like somebody got to own it, somebody got to pay for that maintenance, and that's the reality. So yes, it will be more expensive.
Right, but yeah,
But that's just- that's
think
just
of
how
the
the world
cost
works.
of one in the field out call, right? Like way more,
Correct.
right? So
correct. Or the consequence to your
Right.
business if somebody
yeah, the
managed
brand
to
damage and
take on
yeah. So
or data leakage or ransomware or whatever insert
yeah,
blank, right?
yeah, exactly. So all right, yeah, I mean, I think wrapping it up for today. Couple of things, Salman. Let's just end with you here. So thanks for the overview on Edge Apps. For people listening who have not been familiar with them, I think you really communicated a lot of these huge advantages that they give developers. If someone's interested in like, hey, like I want to make my own Edge app or use some of the ones you have, like where can they find more information about this? Where can they get started?
Yeah, sure. The best place is like a GitHub. So github.com /playground.
Mhm.
That's where all the documentation lies on. And you can also check out our developer documentations. But like if you want to like take a look at some example that we already developed, if you want to do some modifications, you can go back to our GitHub page and you can use the example code. And if you're still stuck, please feel to send us a email. We're always looking to help you.
Amazing. Yeah, and we'll also link down below how people can apply for the interactive digital signage contest. And when's the deadline for that again, Salman?
15th actually.
Okay, 15th. So
This month, August 15th. Yeah.
coming up.
Still got time.
Yeah, and then signing off with you, Victor. You are a man always on the move, and soon you will be coming to the United States for Las Vegas run. So tell everyone the exciting news there, and then maybe where they can reach you for people in the industry who are also coming.
Yeah, I'm off tomorrow actually. As we're recording
Nice.
this, I'm off to what they call Hacker Summer Camp, as they call it, which is Black Hat and first, and then DEF CON after
Amazing.
that. So I'll be attending both. So yeah, if you're attending, I think this release will be out. I think we've got to edit this, and this is going to be out
Yeah.
in a few days. So it's probably going to be released by the time DEF CON happens. Black Hat happens. So if you have Black Hat or DEF CON, hit me up. I'm not hard to find on the internet, so hit me up and happy to meet up and talk all things security.
Amazing.
And I'm also will be attending the Secure by Design Summit. The Secure by Design event, which is hosted by CISA.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
Yes. Cool. Well, guys, thanks for joining. Another episode here of the Screenly Changelog. And yeah, we look forward to seeing everyone on the next one. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel.
Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Daniel.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.